Hey, all it took was a pandemic of potentially unprecedented scale and severity, and suddenly it's like we're turning into Denmark here in the United States. That's the opening line from an opinion columnist, Farhad Manjoo, who wrote this for the New York Times. He writes, in the last few days, a parade of American companies that had long resisted providing humane and necessary benefits to their workers, all of a sudden they changed their mind. Have you noticed that? They announced plans to pay and protect even their lowest rung employees harmed by the ravages of the coronavirus. What? What? Has Bernie Sanders got completely inside their fucking greedy, grasping heads? You think? Uber and Lyft, which are currently fighting efforts in various states to force them to pay benefits to drivers and other so-called gig workers, Uber and Lyft announced that actually a form of paid sick leave wasn't such a bad idea after all. Drivers who contract the new virus or who are placed in quarantine will get paid for up to 2 weeks, Uber said. Lyft offered a similar promise of compensation. Oh my goodness. Trader Joe's also says it will cover for time off for the virus. Several tech giants said they would continue to pay their hourly employees who cannot work during the outbreak. And Amazon said it won't dock warehouse workers for missing shifts. And after the journalist Judd Legum pointed out its long history of fighting sick leave policies, Darden Restaurants, which runs several restaurant chains, including Olive Garden, the worst fucking restaurant ever put together. Olive Garden? That's Italian food? If that's Italian food, I'm a camel. Yeah, Kathy's dad loves Olive Garden. Ah! In a minute. Anyway, the Darden Restaurant Group, the ones that own Olive Garden, said its 170,000 hourly workers would now get paid sick leave. What? God damn, fuck, sick leave? Paid sick leave in the United fucking States? Socialism, socialism, socialism. There's more. It wasn't just sick leave. Overnight, workplaces around the country were transformed into Scandinavian Edens of flexibility. Can't make it to the office because your kid has to unexpectedly stay home from school? Well, last week it sucked to be you. This week, what are you even doing asking? Go home, be with your kid. And then the politicians got into the act. The Trump gangster administration last seen proposing to slash a pay raise for federal workers and endorsing a family leave policy that doesn't actually pay for family leave. The Trump administration is now singing the praises of universal sick pay. Vice President Mike Pence said on Monday, that little brain-dead Christian fuck, there he sat. He said, when we tell people, if you're sick, stay home, we want to make it very clear that we're going to stand by those hard-working Americans. That's what he said on Monday, offering the sort of rhetoric that would be out of place in Denmark, Sweden, Finland, whatever. And as what's his name, Farhad writes, wasn't it almost funny how everyone and their doctor was suddenly extolling the benefits of government-funded health care for all? Have you noticed that? Hey, Bernie! That's all it took, Bernie, was a fucking global pandemic where Millions of people are going to get sick. Hundreds of thousands of people are going to die. And now all of a sudden the benefits of universal health care are presenting themselves right in the fucking face of American politicians. When the Trump administration told Congress that it was considering reimbursing hospitals for treating uninsured Americans who contracted COVID-19, Republicans who had long opposed this sort of socialized medicine were now conceding that, well, of course, we didn't mean it quite so absolutely. Representative Ted Yoho, a Republican from Florida, I love his name, told Huffington Post, quote, "You can look at it as socialized medicine, but in the face of an outbreak, a pandemic, what's your options?" Bingo, you ignorant fucker, you. Bingo. And let me tell you, there is a global pandemic that is here 24/7. It's called death. And how each one of us gets there. We don't walk around the street one day in perfect health and then keel over dead. No, 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 no. We get sick. And then we have all of our assets bled away from us. And we can't qualify for anything because you got to jump through this hoop. Oh, get out of your fucking sick bed and jump through it. And then you got to do this. Then you got to do it. And God help you if you go to a so-called nursing home. Horse shit. Have you been in one of those lately? And you see these $7 an hour thugs walking around pushing fucking mop buckets and coming in to wipe the asses of people who can't even get out of bed. Have you seen them? In the face of an outbreak, a pandemic, what's your options? Somebody ought to tell this asshole Yoho and every single Republican and the majority of Democrats, up to and including Joe Biden, that we live in a constant pandemic. It just takes different forms. What's your pandemic? Cancer? What's yours? Pneumonia? What's yours? Diabetes? What's yours? Organ failure? What's yours? Dementia? What's yours? What's yours? What's yours? But we can't get medical care that is rational, reasonable, and doesn't bankrupt us unless we jump through the fucking hoops of these goddamn vampiric health insurance companies. Oh, and let's cut Medicare. What did Trump say during the campaign? I don't know why I mentioned what he said during the campaign, because he is a lying son of a bitch his entire life. Oh, we're going to have the best Medicare ever. It's going to be brand new and shiny and beautiful and nice and beautiful and shiny and nice and beautiful. And his last budget he submitted to Congress slashed the fucking shit out of it. Yeah, I get upset. Back to Manju. As I said, it's almost funny. Everyone's a socialist in a pandemic, but the laugh catches in your throat because the only joke here is the sick one American society plays on its workers every day. Yeah. The truth is, we're nowhere near turning into Denmark. Many of the newly announced worker protection policies like sick leave and flexibility are limited, applying only to the effects of this coronavirus. Except the Darden Restaurant Group's new sick leave pay plan, which that company says is permanent. Oh. The Trump's proposed relief plan could well be called vaporware. Vapor. And Republicans' interest in universal health care is ephemeral. Call it Medicare for all, but just for this one disease. Medicare for all, but just for this one disease. Manju writes, but there's an even deeper tragedy at play beyond the meagerness of the new benefits. True embarrassment is that it took a pandemic for leaders to realize that the health of the American workforce is important to the strength of this country. Now, you knew that, Truth Seeker. I knew that. Why have these Republican fucks and a huge majority of the Democrat fucks not also realized it? If you have a healthy workforce, you're going to have a healthy economy. If you have people who can go to work not worried, oh shit, man, goddamn, I can't catch anything, or I lose, I won't get paid, my medical insurance is $5,000 deductible. And we wonder why the social scientists are trying to figure out why Americans elected a crumb bum fucker like Trump, because we, with the help of the Russians, maybe it's because we're so goddamn sick and tired of being fucked over. And Joe Biden, do you really think Joe Biden is going to turn things around? Do you really? Do you fucking really? The man can't even put a sentence together, not on the same basis as Trump. Trump is a malicious, vicious son of a bitch. But Joe Biden seems to be suffering from early stage dementia. Not early onset, he's too fucking old for it, like I am, but early stage. And besides that, Joe Biden is a corporate Democrat. If one was ever constructed, it would be Joe Biden. Now, I realize that huge segments of the population are voting for him. And I've said before, I will too, if it's between him and Trump. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast, or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com. And never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.